Well, hi everybody, and welcome to Moodle Support Theater. This is video number 3 here at Southern Oregon University. We are exploring the Gradebook, and in this method we will be looking at the weighted, simple weighted means of grades. To do that, let's go to the Gradebook here in Administration. Give it a click. We have set up a Gradebook in advance, just as we did in the last video, so let's move into the Setup tab at the top row, and you're going to notice some differences if you watched the last video. We still have our course level, or top level as we call it. This is what influences the entire course, and then we have built our categories and we've typed in how much that is worth. We went to our syllabus and we know homework, for example, is 25% of the grade. In the previous video, the natural means of grades, you would notice decimal points and a running total of the course value, but in this section homework is a solid 25%, not 25.26, and notice at the bottom the total is 100, yet we have 250 points. What's going on? Let me explain. At the top, or course level, we come to our action column, we choose edit, and we edit our settings. For our aggregation method, only at the top level we choose weighted means of grades. That means we are going to be applying percentages. As our course level is weighted, the category levels, and we're going to come over and give it a click, each category is going to be set up simple weighted means of grades. And let me show you what that means. It's going to be 100% of the content of homework will be worth 25% of the grade. The difference between this and the natural weighted means of grades, if you add or subtract lessons to the homework section, you do not have to worry about resetting your weights, changing your point total. As we continue down the page, lab reports are worth 25% of the grade. There's one item there. If you add a second lab report, it'll still only be worth 25%. There is no recalculation. This, in my personal opinion, is the simplest and most efficient way to deal with grades. Let's show you how we'll actually set that up. I've got my numbers, but I'm going to add a category. I'm going to just call this added. I'm going to make it worth 5%, and I'm going to choose from my list simple weighted means of grades. I'm going to save my change. I'm going to come down to my new category, and this is one of the reasons I suggest you put the percentages after the category name. You'll have a blank value here. In this case, we know it's 5%, so let's go ahead and enter that. Be sure you use whole numbers. Parenthetically, some people like to use 0.25, 0.25, 0.30, etc. You can do that as long as you're consistent. Please do not mix. I prefer whole numbers. It's a lot clearer and a lot less confusing. And to make sure it balances, I'm going to change the lab reports category to 25, and that should work out. Notice the total at the bottom is 100. These are not points, these are percentages. So 100% of participation is going to be worth 20% of the score. In case you didn't watch the last video, let's say you want to set up an extra credit item in your class. Let's say we're going to use checking for understanding. Now this is a large item. Let's see what this does in comparison to the natural method. I want to make extra credit. I choose the parent category. I put a check in the extra credit box. And unlike the last method, there is absolutely no on-screen change as far as what happens. However, we still have the plus and the extra credit item floating after the 50, and this will still be 25% of the grades, but the checking for understanding activity is now extra credit and will only be counted if it's done. A few other reminders by floating your mouse over an icon, for example, lesson plan, we will discover it's a manual item, and assignments. It helps you understand where things can be edited. Something that is a manual item, and we'll come over here to actions, can be deleted from this page. However, if we come to the checking for understanding, that can't be deleted, you have to go to the front page. I'm going to remove the extra credit option here. One other question that comes up is dropping the lowest 2 or dropping the lowest 3 from a large list of items. I'd like to submit a different option to you. Let's choose homework. Let's go to edit settings. Let's choose show more from the very top level. You can drop the lowest, and I could drop the lowest 2 items, presuming I had a large number of items there. I would like to submit that we keep the highest. This prevents an issue of early in the semester, if you've got 12 items to do, 2 are completed, and you're dropping the lowest 2, the student's going to receive a 0 or an F because the only 2 grades in there are the 2 that will be dropped. I suggest keeping the highest 10 if you're dropping 2, and you're going to prevent causing issues and concerns with your students. You'll also notice excluding empty grades. This is something that is done in Moodle automatically. This requires you, when you are doing your grades, if a student does not do an assignment, for example, if student 4 does not do the lab report, you will need to put a 0 in to that value. Okay, that is the weighted, simple weighted means of grades. The top level is set at weighted. The categories are set at simple weighted. Each category has a percentage value of the total grade, and the total is always 100 for 100% of the computations. As always, I'm going to save changes. I'm going to invite you to stop by if you have questions here at the Center for Instructional Support. In the next and last video in the series, we're going to do some fine-tuning, answer some questions, and show you some other areas of the gradebook. And then we'll take a look at the Joule gradebook in a separate video. So, thank you for stopping by. We're here to help.